بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وأهل بيته طيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين قال قال الله تعالى في كتاب الكريم وإذ قال ربك للملائكة إني جاعل في الأرض خليفة قالوا أتجعل فيها من يفسد فيها ويسفك دماء ونحن نسبح بحمدك ونقدس لك قال إني أعلم ما لا تعلمون صدق الله علي العظيم. Today's lecture is gonna be about Nabi Adam and Imam Mahdi Ajallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, and we can draw some lessons between the story of Imam Mahdi and the story of Adam alayhi salam. So before the creation of Adam, there was a previous creation that filled this world, and they occupied it, and they were corrupt, and they caused a lot of bloodshed. So that's what this ayat that I just read was about. It says when Allah says to the angels, verily I created a Khalifa on the earth. And the angels said, will you make one that will shed blood? And we worship you and we give your praise. And Allah says, I know what you do not know. So there was this creation that was before Nabi Adam alayhi salam. They were before Adam, and they did a lot of corrupt things, and they were really bad, and Allah removed them from the face of the earth. And they corrupted the earth, basically. And we could see the similarity with Imam Zaman, because when Allah sent Adam, he sent him to enliven the earth again. After these people corrupted it and distorted everything that they were given, and they ruined the earth. So Allah sent Adam to revive the earth. In the same way, we see that Imam Zaman, Imam Mahdi Ajallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, will also come to enliven the earth with justice and the worship of Allah, similar like the way Adam came to fill the earth with the worship of Allah. And Imam Mahdi will come to eradicate injustice and oppression in a similar way that Adam came and he established justice and all the things that Allah commanded him to do. So we see that Allah said that he will appoint a vicegerent in the earth, or a Khalifa in the earth. And also there's an ayat that Allah says in Surah 24, ayat 55, Allah promised those that believe and do good deeds that he will certainly make them rulers in the earth. So Allah is promising that he will make a certain group rulers in the earth, those who believe and do good deeds. When we look at the narrations about this ayat, it says that Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, the one referred to in this verse is the Qa'im, and his companions at the time of his reappearance, he would pass his hands over his face and say, Alhamdulillah, the one who fulfilled his promise and made us inherit the earth. This is from Tafsir Burhan, volume 3, page 146. And we see that the angels, they submitted to Adam, and the angels submitted to the imams, the imams, all of the imams of Ahlul Bayt, and they obey their commands. They obey the ones that Allah appointed as the hujjah on the earth, or the proof of Allah on the earth. Let's ask ourselves though, why did the angels submit to Adam? I mean, what was the purpose? Most people think of angels that they're higher than the creation of man. And why would angels submit to mankind? And the reason the angels submitted to Adam, one of the reasons, is because Adam held the names of Ahlul Bayt. Is Allah taught him these names, and he asked the angels to tell them these names if you're truthful, and they said, we only know what you taught us. And he asked Adam to inform them of the names. And there's a story about this that it's in the surah I mentioned is Surah Baqarah, ayat 35. I said, Adam received words from his Lord, then turned unto him. Verily he is oft-turning and the most merciful. So the words that he received from his Lord were the names of Ahlul Bayt alayhim wassalam. And there's a book called Ali fil Quran by Sayyid Sadiq al-Shirazi, and on page 29 and 30, Sayyid Sadiq Shirazi quotes Sunni narrations for this book to show Ali is his status in the Quran and Ali's place in the Quran. So one of the narrations that he brought was from Abdullah ibn Abbas, and he said, I asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what words did Adam receive from his Lord and turn unto him? And the Prophet said, he Adam asked Allah by Haqq Muhammad wa Ali wa Fatima wa Hassan wa Hussein. He asked them by the right of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. So how did Adam get these names? A very interesting story. So Adam was created, and he was looking, and he saw by the throne that there were lights that were similar to his creation and shape, and he was wondering, what are these lights? So he asked Allah, and this narration can be found in the same book, Ali fil Quran. Adam said, O Lord, verily I see figures, the likeness of my creation. Then what is it? Allah said, this is the lights of two figures from your children. The name of the first of the two is Muhammad. The beginning of the prophethood is with you, and its end is with him. And the other is his brother and son of his father's brother. His name is Ali. He will stand by and support Muhammad in his time of need and help, and his hand and be his hand and strength. And the lights that are around it are the lights of the progeny of this prophet from his brother. This Ali will marry the prophet's daughter, being from him his wife, and uniting by it the first of the creation of faith with it, and confirming for it that made her the leader of the women of the worlds. And her origination and her progeny are from the two lights. We will cut the rope and means of obtaining and the lineage on the day of judgment, except his rope and his lineage. Then Adam prostrated and thanked Allah for letting him know these names and teaching him these things, and from these lights being in his progeny. Then Allah turned to him for that prostration, and he commanded the angels to prostrate to Adam. So this is one of the reasons that the angels showed respect and prostrated to Adam. It was because of the names of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. He held these names, and it was meant for the angels to prostrate and show respect and submit to the Khalifa that Allah placed on the earth. We also see that this Khalifa or Imama or Nubuwa Imama, these things are connected to Tawheed, and it's a fundamental part of our Usul ad-Din. We can see this from Hadith Qudsi from Imam Rida alayhi salam. On his way to Nisabur, when the people asked the Imam for advice, as his caravan was leaving, he turned to them and said, the statement, La ilaha illallah, there's no God but Allah, is my fortress, and whoever enters my fortress is saved. Then the Imam started leaving again, and he turned to the people and said, with its conditions, La ilaha illallah has conditions, and he pointed at himself and said, I am one of these conditions. So we see that the Imam, knowing and recognizing the Caliph that Allah placed on the earth, the Imam that Allah placed on the earth, the Hujjah, this is a condition of having Tawheed. So someone might say, how is this possible? How is this linked? How is this? We believe in God, we believe in the Prophet, that's good enough for us. The Imam, we don't really need to believe in that. We can show from this narration that once the belief in Allah is established, we must believe that He is just. And due to His justness, He will inform us about Himself. This is due to His justice. He has to inform us and tell the people about Himself, or it would be unjust because we wouldn't know about Him. So He does this by sending us messengers and guides. And after the messenger dies, then He must have people to safeguard the message. This message of Islam must be safeguarded. So He appointed Imams. This also links to Ma'ad, or on the resurrection, on the day of judgment. Because Allah says He will bring a witness from every nation. And He will bring the Prophet as a witness over these. So this is one of the ways that believing in the Imam of our time is linked with the oneness of Allah. because Allah said He'll place a hujjah on the earth. There always has to be a hujjah on the earth, because He'll bring a witness from every group, and the Prophet is witness upon these witnesses. So who is the witness on the earth for us? It's Imam Mahdi, Ajallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. There's no time from the creation of the earth all the way until now that there was not a hujjah present on the earth, because who will be our witness that Allah created for us, that Allah says He'll bring for us, and the Prophet's over this witness. So we see that the heavenly realm of angels submitted to the one that Allah chose. But what about those who did not submit? There were some that didn't submit to the Khalifa. It was Iblis who rejected Allah's command, and for this act of rejecting Allah's command, he was called a disbeliever. It's interesting, in the preceding ayats, or the previous ayats, you see that Allah addresses Iblis by his name, Iblis. But then after this act of disobedience, and when he rejected the Khalifa, Allah started addressing him as Shaitan. So when a person is presented with the Imam of his time, and the divinely appointed successors, and rejects them, he is following in the footsteps of Iblis. And Allah called Iblis a kafir for this, and He also called him Shaitan. I mean, this might be really hard for some people to accept, but it's in Quran. Those who reject the Khalifa, the one Allah appointed on the earth, they're doing the same thing that Shaitan did. Shaitan rejected the Khalifa, and Allah called him a kafir, and Allah called him Shaitan after that point. The outcast one, the one who's far away from the truth. So those who follow this path of darkness, they'll be considered from disbelievers and shayateen. If they were presented with the Imams of their time and clear proof, and they rejected them, they will be following the same footsteps as Shaitan. Some people think only Shaitan is only from jinn. Shaitan is from jinn. That is correct. Shaitan is from jinn. But when I say that people who reject the Imam of their time will be from shayateen, we see in the Quran that Allah states that shayateen are from men and from jinn. And we see in Surah 6, Ayah 112, وَكَذَلَكَ جَعَلْنَا لِكُلِّ نَبِيٍّ عَدُوًا شَيَاطِينَ الْإِنسِ وَالْجِنِّ. And we have made for every prophet an enemy from the shayateen, the men and the jinn. So we see that shayateen has men and jinn from them. And when I say they follow the footsteps of Shaitan, we can look at what Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, because some people say, okay, well, let's bring some proof on how you can say that people who reject the Imam are following the footsteps of Shaitan. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, he explained the ayah 208 of Surah Baqarah, which says, enter into submission, one and all, and do not follow the footsteps of Shaitan, by saying entering into submission means accepting the Wilayat, or the guardianship of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, and do not follow the footsteps of Shaitan means do not follow anyone other than Ali. We have to follow Ali. That's the one that Allah appointed, told the Prophet to appoint a ghayrakum. This is in many narrations, mutawatir narrations about ghayrakum, that this was where the Prophet appointed Imam Ali. We can go and research Sunni sources, Shia sources, any sources you want, you'll find this narration. And this narration I just mentioned about following the footsteps of Shaitan, if anybody wants to know, it's in Tafsir Burhan, volume 1, page 207. Also, Amal al-Tusi, volume 1, page 306. And Basharat al-Mustafa, page 304. So 3 different books for that narration of not following the footsteps of Shaitan. And when I'm talking about following these people who reject the Imams, we're going to get into that later. I don't mean, there's 3 categories of people, and we'll discuss that shortly. So I'm not saying that basically all sects other than Shia or Shayateen and Kafirin and things like this. I'm going to get into that shortly. But we can notice that in Shaitan's position, he worshiped Allah alongside the angels for thousands of years. And all of that didn't mean anything. When he rejected the Imam, when when he rejected the Khalifa that Allah appointed for him, when he rejected Adam, then all of those good deeds didn't do anything for him. Shaitan, before the creation of Adam, he was there, and he worshipped Allah, and even said one of his salats was 4,000 years, one salat. He worshipped Allah, and he was the wisest of the creation before Adam. So when Allah came and destroyed the creation of that was before Adam, and by the way, this what I'm saying is found in Tafsir Nur al-Thaqalain, volume 1. Allah raised Iblis to the heavens, but the angels didn't know that he was they didn't even know that he was from that creation. He blended in with the angels, and they didn't even realize it until he came and rejected Adam and didn't prostrate. Then his true intentions and his envy and his all of his misdeeds came out, and they said, okay, now I know that you are not from the creation of the angels. So all this worship that Iblis did, it didn't do him any good when he rejected the one that Allah appointed. And we can see from narration from Imam Ali alayhi salam that he said, if a man worships Allah between the rukn and the maqam and fasts every single day of his entire existence without believing in our wilayat, he will not benefit in any way. This is Basharat al-Mustafa, page 402, hadith number 30. So he can worship Allah in this sacred place and fast every single day of his life for his whole existence. If he didn't believe in wilayat, Imam Ali alayhi salam, none of that benefits him. It's all worthless, basically. We have to believe in the Imam of our time. And this is what I'm trying to stress from the story of Adam alayhi salam. Imam Bakr alayhi salam said, if a man keeps standing the whole night for salat and keeps on fasting during the day, gives out all his wealth as alms, and performs hajj all the years of his life, while he does not recognize the guardianship and vicegerent of Allah, so as to love him and perform all of his practices under his guidance and leadership, does not have any right out of his rewards, and is not from among the faithful. So he can do all the good deeds he wants to. Everything. He can pray, he can fast, he can give all his wealth away, he can do hajj every year. He can do all of these things. And if he doesn't recognize the one Allah appointed for him, it said he won't get any reward. All of it will be wasted. And he will not be among the faithful. What is the opposite of the faithful? A kafir, basically. A disbeliever. So the person who does not, this is another proof that the person who does not recognize the Khalifa that Allah appointed for him will be among the disbelievers. Shaitan thought he was better than the Khalifa. Shaitan did a bunch of sins in one instance. He committed racism because he thought he was better than Adam. He said, I'm created from fire and Adam was created from clay. This is racism. This is one of the first sins, was racism. He disobeyed Allah. He got arrogant and thought he was better. So it was racism, arrogance, envy. He thought he was better than Adam. He said, I worshipped Allah all these years and did all of these things. I should be the Khalifa on the earth. But we see that he was mistaken. Shaitan thought he was better than Adam because he was the wisest one on the earth before Adam. So Shaitan was cursed for this act of arrogance, thinking that he was more worthy of the position of Khalif. So we can gain from this, we can understand that thinking of yourself to be more rightful to the position of Khalifa is an act that merits a person worthy to be cursed, because Shaitan was cursed for this. Allah said in the Quran and in Surah 15 ayat 34, and indeed upon you is the curse or the la'na until the day of recompense. So Shaitan was cursed for thinking that he was better than the Khalifa that Allah appointed. He thought he was better than Adam. So if someone thinks they're better than the one that Allah appointed as Khalifa, then he's worthy of being cursed. And hence you see Shia cursed the first three Khulafa. Now, whether that is done in public or private, that's a whole nother discussion, which I don't want to get into here because it will divert us from the topic. But the general consensus of Shia agree that these three individuals were cursed. And there have many, many, many narrations to show that. Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam said, 3 kinds of people will not have any attention by Allah Almighty on the judgment day and will receive a painful punishment. Those who deny an imam appointed by Allah. Those who claim to be an imam appointed by Allah. And those who claim that Abu Bakr and Omar have a share of Islam. These 3 types is what I was talking about. Those who think that, those who deny the imam, this is what Shaitan did. Those who think they're claim to be an imam or think they're better than the imam and they're more rightful of that position, this is what Shaitan did. Same thing. And those who think Abu Bakr and Omar have a share in Islam, because Abu Bakr and Omar did these things. They thought they were more worthy than Imam Ali alayhi salam, and they took the position unlawfully, following in the footsteps of Shaitan. And the reference for this is Mustadrak al-Wasa'il, volume 18, page 175. I want to give these references because I don't want people to think I came and these conclusions and made these things up on my own. I've read and studied and came to these conclusions based on the ayat that I've read and the narrations. So after we see that considering yourself more worthy of the position is something that merits one to be cursed, and considering someone else superior to the Khalifa Allah has chosen is following the path of Shaitan also. We can see from Ibn Abbas asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is there anyone who hates Ali alayhi salam? Because we would think no one would hate Ali. All the things that he did for Islam, no one would hate Ali. So Ibn Abbas is saying, "O Prophet, is there anyone that hates hates Ali?" The Prophet replied, "Yes, some people who think they are from my nation hate him, and they have nothing to do with Islam. One of the signs of those who hate Ali is that they elevate people who are lower than Ali above Ali." So we take those people who, whenever they got in a difficulty, who did they call? Who did the first 3 Khulafa call when they got in difficulty and couldn't answer questions? They called Ya Ali. They called Imam Ali to answer the difficult questions. Imam Ali was above these people, but they elevated themselves and other people elevated these 3 Khulafa above Ali. And according to the Prophet, this is a sign of hatred for Islam. And he said, these people think they're from my nation, but really they're not from the nation. They're not from his nation or from his ummah, because they hate Imam Ali and put themselves above Imam Ali. This narration can be found in Bashar al-Mustafa, page 64, hadith number 9, Amal al-Tusi, volume 1, page 104, Bahar al-Anwar, volume 16, page 370, and volume 28, page 157, and Tawa'il al-Ayat, volume 1, page 277. So we have many sources. It's not just a single book that says this. It's a lot of different books. We can also see from this point in history, in the book Kitab al-Salam, that the first person to pledge allegiance to Abu Bakr, basically the first person who put the stamp on his Khalifa and pledged allegiance to him, it was none other than the Shaitan. Shaitan came in the form of an old man, and he came to Abu Bakr, and he was the first one to pledge allegiance to him. So we see that this act of taking the Khalifa from the rightful position and thinking that you're more worthy and putting yourself in that position was the act of Shaitan, and Shaitan basically came and gave his approval by pledging allegiance to Abu Bakr. We have more narrations that said, Hanan ibn Sadar narrates that when he was asking, he asked Imam Bakr about Abu Bakr. He asked Imam Muhammad Bakr alayhi salam about Abu Bakr and Omar. Imam Bakr said, Ya Abu Fadl, do not ask me about them, for by Allah none among us Ahlul Bayt would die except that he is displeased with those two. No day passes by us except that we are angry with them. Indeed, they oppressed us and denied our rights, and they were the first and foremost people who imposed themselves over us and opened a stream of injustice against us that does not stop until our Qa'im rises. By Allah, no affliction was set up against us and no trouble faced us, Ahlul Bayt, except that these two founded its root. Thus, upon those two are the curse of Allah and the angels and all of mankind. And this is in reference to Surah 2, Ayat 161. So we see that all this injustice, they founded its root of it with Saqifa, when they took the position from its rightful place from Imam Ali alayhi salam. And unfortunately, we have seen the tragedy all the way till now. They are slaughtering a Shia left and right in Pakistan, in Iraq, and Syria, and Lebanon, and all over the world. They're slaughtering the Shia of Imam Ali alayhi salam. They used to bury the Shia and put them in the walls and put cement on both sides of the walls and seal them inside of the walls alive. I mean, they used to crucify Shia. They used to cut off their hands and legs. They used to cut out their tongues. All of this for love of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. And they paid a really dear price for us to have this religion that we have. And we should really appreciate all the sacrifices that they have made and continue to uphold this trust of being a Shia. And that narration that I just mentioned was in Al-Kafi, volume 8, page 245, hadith number 340. Also in Bahar al-Anwar, volume 30, and page 269, hadith 138. We also see that this oppression has happened, and that it all stems back from this satanic act of rejecting the one that Allah appointed for us, and that it's not going to stop from all the way from then until Imam Mahdi ajallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif. So in this way, the story of Adam and Imam Mahdi are linked. We also have there's famous narrations, mutawatir, both Sunni and Shia accept this narration, that the Prophet ﷺ says, the one who does not recognize the Imam of his time and dies while he does not recognize the Imam of his time will die a death of Jahiliyyah. Jahiliyyah is pre-Islamic time when there was disbelief. So basically, if you do not accept the Imam of the time, you will die as a disbeliever. Also, it's agreed upon by everyone that if someone rejects one of the Daruriyat al-Islamiyya, the things that Islam has mandated, the wajibat, the things, if you deny these things, it takes you outside of the realm of Islam. If you say, okay, salat's not wajib. I'll pray if I want to pray. Maybe I don't feel like praying. Maybe I feel like I don't want to fast, or maybe I don't think it's mandatory to fast. Maybe we can fast if we want to, and that's good, or we can pray if we want to, but they reject it. This takes you outside of Islam. So, based on that, we can see that if this takes you outside of Islam, then you would be a disbeliever. And if someone rejects the Usul ad-Din, the fundamental principle of Imamah that we have in Usul ad-Din, that we showed that is connected to Tawheed from the narration of Imam Rida alayhi salam in the beginning of the lecture, that when someone rejects the fundamental principle of Imamah, he will be considered a non-Muslim. Based on this, he was rejecting one of the fundamental principles of Islam. And when I say someone rejects Salah and they say it's not, they say it's not wajib. Okay, if it's different, if you believe that Salah is wajib and that you have to make Salah, but maybe you got lazy or you missed Salah, or you said, I'm not going to pray, but I know I should pray. See, knowing you should pray means you accepted that it's a wajib thing for you to do. But maybe, I don't know, you just didn't want to do it, for example. Na'udhu billah, you just didn't want to do it. This would not put you outside of Islam. This would make you involved in an act of disobedience, an act of sin, but you would still be a Muslim. What I mean by rejecting it is just saying it's not wajib at all. Then that would put you outside of Islam. So someone who rejects the Imam and says, I don't need to believe in this is not part of Islam, This would make them outside of Islam and a disbeliever. To back this up, I would say that some narrations, Imam Bakr alayhi salam said, the person who serves Allah according to a religion, so putting himself in great inconvenience and hardship for it, but he doesn't have an imam fixed by Allah, then his endeavor is unaccepted, and he is lost, and he is went astray. And he's a wandering person in a state of perplexity. Allah is the enemy to his practices, and his example is that of a sheep that has lost her shepherd, and a herd wandering here and there all day long. They don't have their imam. They don't know where to go. They don't know where to get their rulings. They just make up things, and they could be in all types of error. They go all over the place here and there, and they make up all of their own things. So the imam's comparing these people who don't have an imam as a lost sheep that lost their shepherd. And it's our duty to call these people back to the shepherd and back to the imam and tell them about imam. And continue the narration. And by Allah, similarly, in this ummah too, nobody who starts a morning in a condition that he doesn't believe in the imam appointed by Allah, an imam who is apparent, evident, just, and equitable, he will start the morning in a condition that he has gone astray and perplexed. And if he dies in this very condition, he will die the death of kufr and nifaq, the death of disbelief and hypocrisy. This is in a book called Discourses of the 14 Infallibles, an English book. It's available online. But this is showing that the one who starts his day and doesn't know who the imam is and dies not knowing who his imam is, he will die in the death of disbelief and hypocrisy. So it's very, very fundamental that we know who our imam is. And from this we can see that in the same way the angels had to accept and submit to Adam, we must too submit and accept the imam that Allah has appointed for us during our time, which is Imam Mahdi ajallah ta'ala farajahu sharif. Or we will be following the footsteps of Shaitan, who is the outcast one, and we will be like this lost sheep who does not know their way, and will be misguided and will continue making mistakes because we won't have the guidance of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. And we can also conclude, since all of these narrations and these ayah and these things say that the one who does not accept the imam of their time when it's presented to them are following footsteps of Shaitan and are disbelievers, that it's only proper for us to accept the unity on the heavenly path of accepting Wilayat, and not the satanic path of rejecting the one Allah appointed for us. We need to follow the heavenly path. In Ziyar Ashura it says, وَلَعْنَ اللَّهُ أُمَّةً دَفَعَتْكُمْ عَنْ مَقَامِكُمْ وَأَزَالَتْكُمْ عَنْ مَرَاتِبَكُمُ الَّتِي رَتَبَكُمُ اللَّهُ فِيهَا. May Allah curse those people who denied you your position, O Ahlul Bayt, and then removed you from the rank which Allah has granted you. So the famous ziyarah, we all say this, and it's for the 10th of Muharram, and we say, they even narrate that this ziyarah is a hadith Qudsi, it came from Allah, and we quote here that Allah, that is saying that the ones who denied Ahlul Bayt their position and removed them from their rank and their position, may Allah curse these people. This is widely accepted ziyarah, and we all know about this. So there's many things that prove rejecting the imam or rejecting the one Allah appointed for the Khalifa on the earth, it equals disbelief, hypocrisy, and also earns the curse and the wrath of Allah. So Imam Sadiq said, we Ahlul Bayt, we are those who obedience to whom Allah has made an obligation. It is wajib, basically it's wajib, the obedience of Ahlul Bayt. And he continues saying, nothing is proper for the people except to know us, nor are the people absolved from being ignorant about us. He who knows us is a believer. This is the part I wanted to talk about, where they had three types of people. When I was talking about the people who reject the imam, and some people might say, okay, he's saying all the Sunnis are kafir, and all the Sunnis are this and that. This is not what I'm saying. I'm saying those who are presented with the clear truth of Ahlul Bayt, and then they reject it, they would fall under that category. Yes, and this is what we believe in our aqaid. But the three types of people I want to derive from this narration. Then Imam Sadiq continues and said, he who knows us is a believer, and he who knows us and denies us is a disbeliever. This is what I was referring to before. The third group is he who neither knows us nor denies us is misguided until he returns to the path of guidance, which Allah has made an obligation for him as a binding obedience to us. If he dies in his misguidance, then Allah will do with him what he pleases. This is in Usul al-Kafi, volume 1. So we see here that the ones who believe and accept Ahlul Bayt, they're the Shia. The ones who are presented with Ahlul Bayt and deny them, they are the ones following Shaitan, and they are a disbeliever. The third group are people who don't know Ahlul Bayt and they don't reject them. That is the thing. If they don't, a lot of these Sunnis, they don't know Ahlul Bayt. They don't know anything about Ahlul Bayt. They don't know about Karbala. They don't know about Imam Hussein. They don't know about Fatima Zahra, alayhimus salam. They don't know about these things. We should help them and not, a lot of people just make fun of them and curse them and these things. And this is not right. We should come to them and help them and show them Ahlul Bayt and give them the chance to know who Ahlul Bayt are. And we should do this in the best way, not in an insulting way. We should come to them like a sincere friend and call them back to the path of Ahlul Bayt, because they left at the path and they don't know. It's passed down from them from generation all the way back to Saqifa probably. So we need to tell them about Imam Ali alayhi salam and his merits and who took the merits from him and all of these things. Because it's said that a good friend shows you your faults, you know. We shouldn't hide the truth from them. We should be truthful with them if we're a really sincere friend and show them what's the mistake. I have a story that a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine from East Africa, he's not a Shia, he's born Sunni. He came to my house, he came back from Africa and he lost his apartment and he didn't have anywhere to stay, and we worked together. So I said, sure, you can come stay, come stay at my house. He helped me when I first came to Washington, D.C. And now, it's my turn to help him. So he's staying at my house, and one day we're sitting on the couch and he says, Mateen, I want to ask you, why do you reject the Abu Bakr and Omar? Why are you Shia, So I was like, okay, should I, some people would say, oh, just tell them all these, we don't reject them, everything's okay, and they do taqiyya. But this is my friend, I work with him, and I believe he should know. So I said, okay, I'm going to tell you about it, but don't be upset. I'm just going to tell you the reason why I'm Shia, and I'm going to tell you one reason. And I told him about Abu Bakr and Omar and the incident of with Fatima Zahra alayha salam, and how they burned her door, and how they pushed the door on her and crushed her behind the door, where Muslim was killed. And I told him about these things, and he looked at me and he said, Mateen, I'm going to tell you one thing. If Abu Bakr and Omar did this, they're going straight to hell. And I was like, this is why I'm Shia. But he told me, unfortunately, I informed him of it, but he said, for me, I don't know what they did, so I'm just going to stay out of it. I'm not going to say they did it or they didn't do it, but if they did it, they're definitely going to hell. And he said, if they didn't do it, I don't want to slander them. But my point is, at least I made him aware of it as a friend. I told him about it. So now he knows about Ahlul Bayt. And inshallah, maybe he'll research some more about it and study. But if we hide the truth from people, they're going to come, maybe they accept Shiism based on lies that you told them. And then they're going to find out later that, okay, yeah, Abu Bakr, Omar, Uthman, Muawiyah, Yazid, these people are cursed. And they're going to say, oh, I didn't know this, But you should tell the people why and explain to them why. Just don't go up to them and say, Bar Omar Ladna, and then in their face, and just to make them angry. That's wrong. You should say, okay, if they ask, we curse Omar because he oppressed Fatima Zahra. And you can tell them, once you have a bond with Ahlul Bayt, with the household of the Prophet, you love them, and you never want to see your loved ones go through anything tragic. It would pain you just to hear about the tragedy. So if you went to your mother's house and you saw a bunch of people outside setting fire to your mom's house, and the one who taught you and nurtured you and helped you, and you saw them burning the house and pushing the door on her, and you come to find out that your baby brother she was pregnant with died, you would be furious, you would be upset, you would be hurt, you would have all of these feelings, because they oppressed the one that you had this close relationship with, your mother, So imagine, what it would be like, we have this connection with our mother, but imagine, them oppressing Qurrat Ayn Rasul, Fatima Zahra alayha salam, the daughter of the Prophet. You think you would have, if someone did this to your mother, would you have anything good to say about them? Would you want to go hang out with them? Would you want to go hang out with those who praise the ones who did that? No, you'd want to stay far away from those people, and you wouldn't want anything to do with them, So unfortunately, we have this strong connection with our mother, but we don't have connection with Fatima Zahra. We don't have the connection where we see that the people who praise her killers, we want to go be friends with them and don't even condemn the act of it. So we can see that you can't join together the unity, the path of light with the path of darkness. Allah says, and do not mix the truth and the falsehood, or conceal the truth while you know it, in Surah Baqarah, ayat 47. And Allah also says the only true brotherhood is with the believers. He says, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ, in Surah 49, Hujarat, ayat 10. It says, verily, only the believers are brothers. In Nahu, if you study Nahu, the use of innama is hasr. Hasr means it's exclusive, the first word for the word that comes after it, for the second word. So innama is like an emphasis and exclusive for mu'minun. So it's saying, verily, verily, only the mu'minun are brothers. So when we say that other people are brothers with us, they have to be mu'minun. And from all of the other things that I showed, they say that the one who rejects the Imam, and the one who doesn't recognize the oppression that the Khulafa did to the Ahlul Bayt, these people are disbelievers. And from all of those narrations, when they're presented with Imam and they rejected the Imam, they reject Ahlul Bayt, they're disbelievers. So how can we have brotherhood with disbelievers when Allah clearly says, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ, only the believers are brothers to each other. So this is unity, but unity is different than coexistence. Coexistence is possible, and this is what our aim is for coexistence. Coexistence is existing with everybody in a peaceful way. The same way that I would talk to my Christian neighbor or my Jewish neighbor or whoever my neighbor might be, Hindu or whatever. I'm nice with them and I'm friendly with them, but I don't consider us the same thing. We're not the same religion, but I can coexist with you. We live in a multicultural society where tons of people from all different places, we all coexist and we're nice and friendly to each other, but we're not one unit. When we say that we unite with Sunnis, this would mean that we have to accept all of those things that they say. And when you look at the Sunnis, the way they explain their aqa'id, you would think they're talking about a different religion. We're talking about Tawheed. They're saying that Allah puts his leg, na'udhu billah, in the hellfire until it's full. That he comes down on a donkey on Thursday night. Astaghfirullah. These things are narrated in their books. And then go and take a look at Dua Qabil and how Imam Ali alayhi salam describes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's two different religions, basically. And then also Nubuwwat. They say that the Prophet's heart was black and they had to wash it, from sin. A'udhu billah, We believe that all of the prophets are ma'sumin. They're all infallible. So again, two different ideologies. And also, we have to, when all of these acts of terror and violence happen from that side, those people who claim they're Sunnis, I'm not saying all Sunnis do terrorist acts, but all terrorists claim that they are Sunnis, and we don't see terrorist acts from suicide bombings from Shia. It's only from this side. And we have to, if we say we're all one unit, all of the world looks at us as one. And we have to, that stain in history gets put on us too. But if we draw the line in the sand and say, no, we're Shia of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, and this is our belief, people will say, oh, okay, you guys are different. And those other people who do those things, that is a different form of Islam. And that's what needs to be done. And we should coexist together peacefully, as long as no one is trying to oppress us. And those are just some of my thoughts on the unity and coexistence. Back to the story of Adam. I know we got off track a little bit with this, but it needed to be covered and someone needed to speak about it, and I felt like I should bring it up in this because we're talking about Adam and Imam Mahdi, Ajallah Ta'ala Farajul Sharif. So to continue on, when Adam was separated from paradise, he wept abundantly, and the Prophet described Adam's tears that they flowed on his cheeks like floods. And Adam searched for Hawa, in Bahar Anwar, volume 44, page 342. It says, Adam searched for Hawa. All over, Hawa is Eve in English. All over the world, and when he reached Karbala, he stumbled, and his feet started bleeding when he reached Karbala. Adam asked for the reason, why is my foot bleeding? Allah said to him, your son Hussein alayhi salam will be killed here. I wish that you should curse his killer. Adam raised his hand and said, oh Allah, curse the killer of Hussein. After that, he walked a few steps and found Hawa. So we see in Adam shed blood for Imam Hussein, and he cursed the killer of Imam Hussein, and he wept abundantly on his separation from paradise. And relating that to Imam Mahdi, Ajallah Ta'ala Farajul Sharif, we read at Ziyarat Nahia that Imam alayhi salam weeps so much, he weeps tears of blood for Imam Hussein while he's in a quotation, until he is able to avenge the blood of his grandfather, Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He cries so much that he cries the tears of blood. And most of us go on our day-to-day, we don't even think about Imam Hussein alayhi salam, unfortunately, until Muharram comes, or Arba'in. The rest of the year, we're doing our own thing, and we don't think about Imam Hussein. When we see that the Imam of our time cries for Imam Hussein constantly. And all things, they have relationships between them to show the connection between two things. For example, your last name shows connection to your family. An example that we see with the Imams is that they inherited different things from the Prophet, who inherited things from the earlier prophets. And we discussed this in the lecture of Nabi Sulaiman and Imam Mahdi, Ajallah Ta'ala Farajul Sharif. So these relationships between things, they show that they have a strong connection to them. Your last name shows you have a strong connection to your family. These and things that the Prophet inherited show that they have a strong connection to the earlier prophets, all the way to Adam. And we see that Imam Mahdi alayhi salam has inherited all of these things that we discussed about. And one of the things relating to Nabi Adam is that he inherited the shirt of Adam. So he has with him the shirt of Adam. In Tafsir Nur al-Thaqalain of Surah 2, Ayat 30, we see that there's a group of angels, back to the ayat that we began with, where the angels questioned, they questioned Allah. It was like, why would you create a Khalifa that would do bloodshed like the other people who came? So after they questioned the creation of Adam, they realized their mistake. And, they repented. And they made a cube structure in the fourth heaven. And they started circling around this cube structure and asking Allah for his forgiveness. And he liked this act that they ask, his servants worship him in this way and ask for his forgiveness. So below the fourth heaven, in the same spot, he commanded Adam to build a similar structure, and Adam circled this structure and also sought forgiveness of Allah. And this is continuing all the way throughout, from Adam all the way until now. And even we see Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam, they rebuilt the Kaaba, and we visit it now every year for Hajj. And may Allah grant us all the tawfiq of going to Hajj, inshallah. So the relation we can draw between Adam building the first version of the Kaaba and on the earth and Imam Mahdi is that Adam started it. Adam started the Kaaba. And Imam Mahdi will be the one to return to the sacred structure and make his announcement of his reappearance and let all of the people know that he has reappeared, will be from the Kaaba. And may Allah allow us all to witness this act and witness the reappearance of our Imam, and make us of his firm followers and his Shia and his supporters, inshallah ta'ala. And may we all pray for his hastening of his reappearance with dua faraj. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma kulli waliyaka al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan صلواتك عليه وعلى أبائه فهذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا معينا حتى تسكناه أرضك توعا وتمتعوا فيها طويلا من رحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم والعن أداءهم.